You think transformation is distant, that you'll need to wait for the right conditions, the right proof, the right moment. But what if I told you that your entire life can shift in the span of 7 seconds? Quantum mechanics calls it the observer effect. Reality responds to the focus of your attention instantly. Spirit calls it presence. The moment you return fully to now, the story changes. Test it yourself. In these next 7 seconds, breathe slowly, focus, feel. That subtle change in your body is evidence. The shift already started. For most of your life, you were told a lie. That real change takes a long time. That healing takes years. That transformation demands decades of discipline. That the future you want is always far ahead of you. But here is the paradox. Time is not what the universe is working with. Time is a measurement the human mind invented to make sense of experience. The quantum field doesn't need time. It responds instantly to frequency. Every thought, every emotion, every breath you take broadcasts a signal. That signal is read immediately by the field, and reality organizes itself in coherence with it. Not tomorrow, not someday, instantly. This is why one moment of clarity can redirect an entire life. This is why a single breath can end panic. This is why a flash of recognition can shift a destiny. It doesn't take years, it takes seconds. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain does not need years to create new connections. It needs one spark. When you focus attention differently, neurons fire in new patterns. And in that exact second, the body begins to wire for a new identity. This is why trauma can happen in a moment, and why liberation can too. The nervous system resets not in time, but in state. Yet, here is the tragedy. Most people never experience this. They wait, they postpone, they convince themselves that change is impossible unless years of work have passed. And by believing this, they broadcast waiting, they broadcast delay. And the field, precise as always, mirrors it back into their lives. Have you ever wondered why decades pass and yet nothing truly new has happened? Why the same loops keep repeating no matter how much you desire change? It is not because the universe is ignoring you. It is because your signal has been saying the same thing. Later, not yet, tomorrow. And so the collapse keeps reflecting that exact message. This is the illusion of time. People think they are waiting for the future to change them, when in reality, the act of waiting collapses. More waiting. The shift is always now. It has never been anywhere else. Spirit has known this for centuries. Mystics called it the eternal present. Shamans taught that transformation happens in the instant you choose to step into it. Ancient texts speak of the blink of an eye when heaven meets earth, all pointing to the same truth. Change is not linear. Change is immediate. So, why don't most people experience this? Because they confuse recognition with transformation. They feel the signal, they glimpse the possibility, but they don't act. They don't embody. They wait for more proof. And while they wait, the moment collapses back into the old reality. Think about your own life. How many times have you felt something stir inside you? A moment of absolute clarity, a sudden knowing that everything could be different, only to watch it fade because you told yourself, not yet, maybe later, I'll wait for the right time? How many chances have you buried under the illusion that change needed more time? This is the hidden reason most people never live differently. They collapse hesitation into reality. They don't realize that every second they delay, the wave is still collapsing. The field is still responding. And what is it responding to? Waiting, delay, doubt. But now you see it clearly. Now you know that the shift doesn't need a future date. It only needs 7 seconds of coherence. The moment you align thought, emotion, and breath, the collapse is instant. The wave becomes form. The field mirrors back the signal, and everything changes. The universe has already chosen you for this moment. The proof is that you are here. The question is, will you collapse presence now, or will you let time steal the future that could already be yours? If transformation can happen in seconds, why do most people spend years repeating the same cycles? Why do they wait decades for change that could collapse right now? Because they fall into the same error, mistaking the signal for the shift. The moment people feel something powerful, a flash of clarity, a surge of presence, a moment of calm after breath, they believe that is enough. They walk away saying, "I've changed. I felt it." But feeling is not embodiment. Recognition is not transformation. A glimpse of coherence is not the same as sustaining it. This is the trap. They confuse a spark with a fire. They mistake inspiration for collapse. Think of how many times this has happened to you. You watched something, read something, experienced a moment of deep resonance, and for a while, everything felt new. But days later, nothing had really shifted. Why? Because you didn't hold it. You didn't anchor it. You touched the wave, but you didn't collapse it into a new form. Quantum mechanics gives us the language for this. A wave remains probability until observation is coherent. The observer must hold focus long enough for the wave to collapse. Without that, the potential dissolves back into uncertainty. Spirit says the same thing. Intention without embodiment is illusion. This is why most people live trapped in the same identity. They are addicted to glimpses, motivational highs, spiritual sparks, temporary clarity, but they don't sustain coherence. They don't repeat it long enough for the nervous system to rewire, for the subconscious to accept, for the field to mirror something new. The body makes this harder. Your nervous system is addicted to the chemistry of the old self. Fear, doubt, scarcity. These emotions feel familiar, and the body craves them like a drug. So even when you feel a new possibility, the body pulls you back. It whispers, "This is too much, this isn't real, wait until later," and most obey. Here is the error in one sentence. People wait for proof of change before they embody change. But waiting is still a signal, and the field mirrors it. So the years pass. The cycles repeat. The spark fades. And they tell themselves, maybe transformation takes more time. No. It never needed time. It needed presence. It needed coherence. It needed 7 seconds of absolute choice. You know now that recognition is not transformation. A spark is not a fire. The universe may show you the door in a single moment, but only you can walk through it. The shift can happen in 7 seconds, but the question is, how do you make those 7 seconds last? How do you turn a glimpse into a collapse that changes everything? The answer is not complicated, but it demands precision. It demands presence. It demands coherence. Interrupting the old script, every shift begins the same way, by interrupting the rhythm of the old self. The body wakes up each day expecting to play the same role, the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same actions, all repeated until they feel natural. This rhythm is the script, and the script is the broadcast. To collapse something new, you must disrupt it, break the pattern. It doesn't have to be extreme. It can be as simple as stopping for 7 seconds before reacting, breaking your breath into a new rhythm, choosing silence where you would normally speak. Neuroscience calls this pattern interruption. When you do something different, the brain fires. New pathways. Spirit calls it initiation, the conscious act of refusing to repeat. Both describe the same truth. Every interruption tells the field, I am no longer collapsing the old. Reprogramming the emotional body, but thought alone is weak without emotion. The body is addicted to the chemistry of the old self. Fear floods the bloodstream. Doubt raises cortisol. Scarcity pulls you back into familiar tension. And the field mirrors that chemistry in perfect form. This is why many feel a spark, but cannot hold it. The old emotions are stronger than the new decision. To sustain the shift, you must reprogram the emotional body. This is where the 7 seconds become fire. When fear rises, breathe into it instead of running. When hesitation pulls, slow your heart and find coherence. Science has already proven that a single minute of coherent breathing rewires the nervous system, but you don't need a minute. Even 7 seconds of alignment between heart and mind is enough to begin a new broadcast. Spirit says the same. Breath is the bridge. Shamans called it the wind of life. Mystics called it the Holy Spirit. Yogis called it prana. Different words, same truth. When you command your breath, you command your frequency. Ask yourself, which emotions are you addicted to? Which ones keep collapsing the same story over and over? Until you face them in the body, the spark will always fade. Choosing identity. Now, even after disruption and emotional reprogramming, the story waits. The old identity clings. It whispers, "This is who you are. You cannot change in seconds." And if you believe it, the field obeys. Identity is the strongest signal. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are. And who you are is not what you think. It is what you embody. To sustain the shift, you must choose identity now. Not later, not someday, now. Embody the self who already shifted. Speak differently, walk differently, breathe differently. Every movement declares to the field, "This is me." Quantum mechanics calls it the observer effect. The observer defines reality. Spirit calls it living as if, embodying the truth. Before evidence arrives, both describe the same thing. When you act as the new self, the field cannot collapse anything else. Anchoring with ritual, but identity too can fade if it is not anchored. The subconscious mind does not shift with ideas. It shifts with symbols, repetition, ritual. This is why every tradition had fire, chants, mantras, ceremonies. Ritual bypasses logic. It speaks to the deepest layers of the self. It tells the subconscious, this is real, this is permanent. If you want your 7-second shift to survive, you need your ritual. Burn the words of the old self. Declare your chosen identity each morning. Breathe coherence daily. Use symbols, gestures, or sacred words that anchor you in the new frequency. Each ritual is a seal, a broadcast that grows louder each time it is repeated, sustaining the collapse. It is not an event, it is continuous. Every second is observation, every moment is choice, which means the shift is not something that happens once. It is something you sustain until the old self dies and the new self stabilizes. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity. Spirit calls it rebirth. Both are saying the same. The more you hold coherence, the more natural it becomes. The more you repeat, the stronger the pathways grow. The more you embody, the louder your signal gets. Most fail here. They expect one spark to burn everything. But reality doesn't collapse once. It collapses again and again, in every breath, in every thought, in every action. And if you don't sustain it, the old broadcast returns, the bridge between seconds and eternity. So this is the method. Interrupt the old script, reprogram the body, choose identity now, anchor with ritual, sustain until the field has no choice. But to collapse the new reality, it doesn't take years, it doesn't take decades, it doesn't even take hours. It takes seconds, seconds repeated, seconds embodied, seconds sustained. That is how eternity changes. The universe has already chosen you. The signal is already here. The shift has already started. The only question is whether you will hold it long enough to let the fire finish its work. If reality can shift in 7 seconds, then why would you wait another day? Why would you keep postponing the choice that could already be yours? The truth is sharp. Every time you delay, the field doesn't pause. It doesn't wait. It collapses. Anyway, and what does it collapse? The old story, the same cycles, the same limitations. You are not avoiding collapse when you hesitate. You are simply reinforcing the past. Think of how many times you felt a moment of clarity, only to let it fade because you told yourself, not yet. I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow came, and it looked exactly like yesterday. Not because the universe ignored you, but because you broadcast hesitation, and hesitation became reality. This is why most people never experience transformation. They think they are waiting safely. They imagine that by hesitating, they are holding still. But physics doesn't allow that. Observation is constant. Collapse is constant. Every second, the field mirrors something. And if you don't direct it, it will mirror the strongest frequency you already carry. Fear, doubt, hesitation. So ask yourself now, how many futures have already died because you didn't choose them? How many versions of you were ready to live but never made it through, erased by your silence? How many times did the fire spark only to be smothered by waiting? This is the cost of delay, and it's far higher than you realize, because every moment of hesitation is not neutral. It is a choice. It is a collapse. And the more you repeat it, the stronger the old story grows. But here is the paradox. It only takes 7 seconds to shift. 7 seconds of full coherence, 7 seconds of refusing to repeat, 7 seconds of embodying the new self. That is all it takes to collapse something different. So why wait? Why spend another day collapsing the past when the future can be rewritten in seconds? The universe has already chosen you. The signal has already reached you. The shift has already started. The only question left is whether you will hold it now or lose it again to hesitation. Every second is choice. Every second is fire. And the field is listening to you in this very moment. You've seen it. You felt it. The shift does not take years. It does not demand decades. It takes seconds. And you just proved it to yourself. The fire has already touched you. The field has already responded. The only question left is simple. Will you seal it, or will you let it fade back into the old story? Here is the danger. If you leave this moment without action, the old patterns will rebuild. The hesitation will creep back in. The brain will whisper, "That was nice, but nothing really changed." And if you listen, you collapse that doubt back into reality. The cycle repeats, and another chance dies, but it doesn't have to end. That way, this moment can be different. You can anchor it. You can make it permanent. How? By declaring it, by aligning with it, by acting inside it. First, write one word below. Shifted. Not for me, not for the algorithm, for the field, for yourself. That word is not casual. It is a seal. It is a frequency encoded into reality. When you declare shifted, you are telling the universe, I chose back. The shift is real. It stays. Second, subscribe. And don't see it as just a button. See it as alignment. Every time you stay connected to this channel, you stay connected to the frequency that already pulled. You surround yourself with signals that remind you of who you are becoming. If you disconnect, the noise of the world will try to drown this truth again. But if you stay aligned, the shift grows louder, stronger, unstoppable. Think about it. How many times in your life have you felt clarity only to let it fade because you didn't act? How many moments slipped away because you didn't seal them? This is not the time to repeat that mistake. You have 7 seconds right now to anchor this shift forever. Pause, breathe, declare, align. That's all it takes. 7 seconds to prove to yourself that you don't just recognize the signal, you embody it, and remember, this is not the end. This is initiation. You sealed the shift today. The next step is learning how to hold it, how to live it, how to expand it until your entire reality bends around it. That is what comes next. And the next video is already waiting to guide you deeper. The universe has already chosen you. The proof is that you are here. The field is listening. The shift is alive. Now it's your turn to answer. Write your word. Subscribe to the signal. Step into the timeline that is truly yours.